Facebook, what's up? Chris Hill here. It's about almost 1 o'clock here on the East Coast, and a little bit of a late start. Running around today, and going to be working here for a bit after we chat on the book. And anyway, I'm here to hang out with you guys for as long as you want. I'm not sure who all's here yet. I assume I'll see some numbers popping in. We got 5, 10. Cool. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Let me know who's here, where you're coming in from. This is Shift Drink. I'm going to try and start doing this every week, basically talking about the industry, the community we have. You know, a lot of folks have reached out to me saying, hey, Chris, like one of the things I totally miss right now is being able to connect with my fellow coworkers and all that good stuff. So figured this would be a way for some of us that don't get the chance to go side by side with the people right now, to hang out, to chit chat with each other, to offer suggestions, advice, encouragement, and maybe have a few laughs at the same time. So anyway, one thing I am going to maybe try, if you guys are up for it and don't feel like you have to, is if you see there's a number 929-266-3996. If you have a question you want to chat and ask kind of over the stream for everyone to kind of hear, feel free to shoot a text to that number and with the question and your name, and I will perhaps give you a call. So we'll maybe try that in real time, see how it works out. I'd love to hear from some of you guys. So I see we have Mike Clark. What's up, man? Yeah, you're an hour behind over in Texas. We got Matthew Vogelbacher. What's up, man? Good to see you again. Eric Garcia, Lisa Hogan, Colorado, San Jose, California. So kind of all over the country here. I assume we have some folks tuning in from overseas as well. And so I'm here in Virginia, and things today kind of opened back up, at least kind of preliminarily, as in patios are open and minimal capacity, that kind of thing. But hey, it's a start, so it's nice to see some of that stuff start to kind of hopefully this COVID-19 will start to kind of run its course at some point soon. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Cindy, what's going on? Gambit, how are you, buddy? Gambit, we're in Florida, are you, man? Anthony, how are you, buddy? So, Anthony, it sounds like a mess happened with you at work today. He's down in Alabama, and it sounds like you guys have a couple locations, and there's maybe a mix-up with where the deliveries were going. Nice way to kind of get the weekend going in this COVID-19 world. Anyway, like I said, if anyone wants to shoot me a message on the number 929-266-3996 with your name, I'll give you a call here on the live stream, and you can kind of chat with me, and we can talk through whatever question you have if you're dealing with anything. So anyway, love to hear from you guys. Nicole in Ohio says we open dine-in with social distancing next Thursday. Yeah, that's awesome. The question is, and I'm nervous to see, jump forward, let's say like 2 weeks or a month, let's say a month, where a lot of us, start opening back up. What happens if the social distancing doesn't work the way we had hoped? So, I mean, do we just shut things down again, or do we have some sort of herd immunity? I saw McDonald's came out maybe yesterday, I think I saw in the restaurant business magazine that they had like a new 62-page, folder for all their employees to read and to follow. Like you've seen in a lot of grocery stores, they're going to have like the arrows. They're going to have spaced out seating, at least kind of in the short term. And then all their employees will have to get a infrared thermometer in their forehead. Plus, they will have to wear a mask. And what I thought was crazy was, and they all have to change their gloves at least once every hour. Well, I can't imagine any restaurant employee not changing their gloves at least every hour. But whatever. I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. So, Mike, about to tenderize some 5 pounds of beef for jerky. What do you use, Mike? Like a London broil or something like that? And I'm curious, do you have any good flavors you like? I have a buddy, Nick. He's probably asleep by now, but he makes a killer mango habanero beef jerky. Usually like mango powder, habanero powder, super delicious. Yeah, it's a nice little good snack, especially with a nice lean piece of beef to kind of get you through the day. So cool. Thank you guys for hanging out here. Looks like we got a bunch of y'all. Eric Garcia. Okay, so Eric, Eric, you're with Google, I think, right? Hopefully you're still here. Eric's asking about cloud kitchens. Pop-ups are big in the Bay Area right now. What's your advice on starting one? So starting cloud kitchen. So essentially a cloud kitchen, for those of y'all that are watching, listening that aren't familiar, is you've also heard them called ghost kitchens, where you basically have a kitchen. And so if I pull up like one of the apps on my phone, I can like Grubhub or something like that. It pops up as a restaurant. So it populates as a restaurant. I can see the menu and everything. If I want to order from it, cool. But I can go back and then I see another restaurant. What happens is you can have 2 or 3 or 4, 5 different concepts within one kitchen. Eric, I think it's we've started to see it, especially in higher density populations, like you said, San Fran, especially also like you said in the Bay Area, New York, Los Angeles. I'm not sure if they're popping up in Miami or not, but basically places with high density and usually with high density populations comes high rent. So you can get space for one big kitchen, and essentially the orders come in like they would for like they would for a normal restaurant, but it might even parse it. I'm not sure, Eric, if they parse it out for each restaurant within the cloud kitchen or how you've seen that work, but it's I think it's definitely a way for the future. It's you think like we walk into like the airport and you go in between terminals, and Terminal C has 10 different restaurants that are everything from like a Chipotle to a Chick-fil-A and everything kind of in between. Well, it's the same kind of idea, but now you have it on your phone and it's all coming out of one very central place. So I think it's going to be really helpful for efficiency, and I think it's a great way to kind of streamline things and have a kind of a lower cost way, because you don't have any sort of customer seating or anything like that. So it's all just kind of like he said, like a ghost. Ricky Roop or Rupee. I see you have kind of a two-part question here. Thoughts on focusing on outside seating and farm focus. Ricky, what do you mean exactly with the farm focus? I get the outside seating. I think from what I've heard, the whole COVID-19 is not as impactful as it relates to outside. I guess with wind and things like that, and like obviously there's free flowing air everywhere. There's less likelihood for people to get sick. So I think that's great. I've heard even like here near me in Norfolk, Virginia, they're talking about blocking off certain streets to expand restaurant dining outside, because right now in a lot of the country it's starting to get hot, but like today you might be able to tell I got a little bit of sunburn. I played golf today, but throughout a lot of the country there's pretty nice weather, 60s and 70s, maybe up to 80. But so I see a real opportunity in the next month or so to leverage that. And what I've seen, and what I think we all are probably seeing, is the consumers are out there, our customers are out there wanting to support us if they can. So it's up to us to find innovative and unique ways to serve them. Gambit, so you're saying 10% capacity. And Gambit, I'm blanking on where you said you were from. Gabrielle, we opened today. Ugh, so weird, but so great to see our guests. Yeah, it's I'm sure it's it's strange. It's going to be strange. It's going to be strange. This whole thing lasts 3 months or so. Has been crazy. Yeah. So hey, Chris Villon, how you doing? Good to see you. Stephen Bond, what's up, man? You're in Granbury, Texas. you're doing 50% capacity. Business is returning, so it's a good sign. Yeah, I've seen business returning for a lot of folks. I have a buddy that runs a pretty high-end hotel here at the Virginia Beach oceanfront, and he was saying that almost overnight, their occupancy went from like 10 to 15% to tonight it was at 75%. And you imagine like a resort area like that, they're super dependent on the next 3 months to make their money. So hopefully we can figure this stuff out. And Stephen, I listened to a podcast with the CEO or the president, I guess, of the Texas Restaurant Association, and she was talking about how maybe 10% of restaurants in Texas, they have some data showing that 10% of the restaurants are going to close for good, and that maybe in the first week, I think y'all are in week 2 now, but in the first week, maybe another half didn't open yet, and they're kind of waiting to see what happens. And listen, like if you can wait and kind of see like what kind of kinks there are to be worked out, I think that's just fine. It'll be interesting to see what happens, you know. But hey, it's good to see you guys back open, man. Amber, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Nathaniel, you're down in Alabama too. So Anthony Nelson's down in blank on the name, Anthony. Andalusia. Working in a hotel. We're still shut down for a couple more months or until people start traveling. Yeah, Nathaniel, where are you? Where in Alabama are you? Roll Tide, buddy. So Scott Haney opened at 50% dine-in on Monday, still heavy on the go and surprisingly light on dine-in here in South Carolina. Scott, I wonder where you are in South Carolina too. Yeah, I know you guys have some big markets like Charleston, obviously, but even some really kind of cool up-and-coming emerging dining markets like Greenville. Not too far away from you guys is Asheville. So some great food in the South. Let's see here. Daniel, you're all right, so Daniel's overseas on the other side of the pond. Good to see you, man. Let's see, for you over there, it's what time is it here? It's like 1 o'clock, so it's like, I guess, what, 6 o'clock in the UK right now? Cheers, mate. So yeah, you guys had it pretty weird over in the UK, but back to work 1st of June. Good to hear, man. Good to hear. And like I said earlier, for any of y'all that are joining me right now, if you have a question that's maybe more complicated than you feel like typing out, shoot a text over to 929-266-3996. That's in like the caption for this post as well. Text your text, say, hey, this is Daniel or this is Chris, whoever. I have a question about blah, 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 and I can give you a call. We can kind of talk through it with everybody here, and maybe other folks listening and watching have some suggestions for you. So if you want to do that, cool. If not, I think I have the messages here pulled up. Ramsey Musa, thoughts on owners, managers keeping the tips from food apps versus giving it to curbside servers, hosts. Ramsey, that's a good question. So you haven't really thought about this question until you just asked it. My initial inclination is, and this is just for the way I usually look at the business model of restaurants, is when you have a situation like that, the owners and managers, I feel like, shouldn't be tipped employees. In a lot of states, unless you're like 33% or something like that, customer facing, you can't take tips. Now, that being said, I could see maybe certain situations where, okay, like, we got to make ends meet. We need people in the doors. Like, we can't afford to pay the manager the full salary. Maybe there is some sort of tip share that involves the manager in the short term. I mean, I'm sure there's servers and delivery people and bartenders that are probably getting pissed at me right now saying that, but I could see that being a situation, right? So whatever you need to do to keep the doors open, keep revenue moving, and obviously the manager is someone who's going to help kind of keep things moving, at least managerially, right? I think the manager usually is the one of, based on what they do for a good manager, one of the worst paying jobs in the building, right? So like, I mean, it's maybe not quite as strenuous as like a line cook or something like that. And you usually are, salary, or if you're like an assistant, maybe just an hourly, like a key employee or something like that. But for the most part, like you're making a decent amount of money, but you're the servers and bartenders on a good Friday night are walking out with 3 or 4 times as much money as you're making on that Friday night. So if you can afford to maybe not furlough that employee and keep them around, and that means maybe helping tip them out some, because I mean, if they're helping with that capacity, then why not, right? But I'd love to hear what y'all's thoughts are too. I mean, it's kind of uncharted territory right now, so I think anything right now is maybe worth a shot. To me, it kind of goes back to intentions, right? So like, as long as your head and your heart's kind of in the right place, then if you screw up, if you do something that you decide later on wasn't the right move, okay, we'll correct course and do whatever apologies are necessary. All right, Mike. So back to your beef jerky. So teriyaki right now, I've been getting top round from, but my demand is getting big, and with the limits, I'm having to look around. Gotcha. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the market out there. So I know and it's interesting too, because you have like the market for meat or grain or whatever it is, and I'm not sure the exact split, but maybe something like 2/3, or maybe even higher than that, 2/3 grocery to 1/3 restaurant or commercial, and then in the last like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, it's gone probably like 90-10. So now all the production's going towards the grocery stores and everything, and then maybe now we'll see it start to swing some back. But regardless, I think there's been a lower demand. So now you also have a little bit less of a production out there. You don't have all these we've seen all these stories about like in like Iowa and Indiana and other places where all the workers in the factories are getting sick. Well, that means there's no production, and these cattle that they're slaughtering, or chickens or whatever else, there's a very specific time period from when they take them into the market. So it'll be interesting to see that whole dynamic as well. Anthony, we opened yesterday 50% capacity. Everything was good. Tonight was hell. People trying to sit wherever. So Anthony, y'all, it's interesting you say that, because I can see, and I feel like it's very interesting, because there's like people that are very by the books with all this, and there's people that are kind of like a little bit more free flowing. I remember when it first started happening, I was in Trader Joe's. And I was in line, and and Trader Joe's is one of the first kind of grocery stores to get on top of this stuff. They're really, I think, good about social consciousness type stuff. Well, they I'm in line, and they say like the whole 6 feet and everything. They actually have a line outside too. Only 50 people inside. Well, I guess I was too close to this guy, and this guy he turns around and looks at me and goes, "Hey pal, get the fuck off of me." This like 70, probably 65, 70-year-old dude. I'm like, and at that point, maybe I realized the severity of it, or how severe some people are taking it. And obviously, it's serious regardless. But I thought it was pretty crazy. And it's only gotten. So now you look at like situations like people like that. You look at people like, oh, like, why do I wear a mask? Like I'm fine. I'm not gonna get people sick. Yeah. So I can imagine like. It's kind of like on a Friday night, someone doesn't have a reservation. It's like, well, you have like 10 open tables. Why can't I have one? And it's like, well, they don't know that these next 10 tables are going to be seated in the next 15 minutes. Same kind of idea, right? So people just not really understanding the business, not understanding how restaurants work. Monique, so you're saying here in Florida, 25% capacity, plenty to go orders, gloves, mask mandatory. Okay, so Ricky, so this is a little bit of a different question, I guess. Ricky, you're asking about you earlier you asked about patio seating, and now you're asking, well, what about a restaurant being farm focused, buying locally, and a restaurant investing in their own farm? Um, so Ricky, I think, hey, I think that's awesome. I think the more you can support like the local community, the more you're gonna build credibility and a brand within it. And I think it's just the right thing to do. Um, it's the right thing to do in a number of ways. In part because you're able to be that much more connected to the product. For me, one of the greatest lessons I learned with my first job in the restaurant industry was the Atlanta Fish Market. And at the Atlanta Fish Market, we got 2 shipments of fish every single day. Beautiful fish from all over the country, in the world, really, I guess. And I saw the whole fish being broken down. So not like you go to Kroger, Publix, wherever else, and you grab one of those frozen bags of frozen tilapia fillets or mahi or whatever it might be. But you're actually seeing the whole product. And I think when you focus on local, you can take your team out to the farm and say, hey guys, this is what I'll never forget when I was interviewing Frank Stitt for my first book, Making the Cut. Frank Stitt, like, they actually last year got best restaurant in the country from James Beard Awards. He's like a lifetime achievement award, like one of the goats in the industry. And he brought California cuisine over to Alabama, and he was kind of one of the first people in the country to use like Appalachias for different products. Like this is like a Shelby County sweet potato or something like that. And what he would do and still does is he'll take them out on a Sunday into like the wilderness, and they'll go forage for watercress, and he'll have their meat purveyors come in and show them what the products are. And so many cooks these days, and I've been there in restaurants before too, where in my restaurant we buy like broken down chicken breasts. Well, if you don't see the product whole, then I don't think you have as much appreciation for it. So long story short, I think having a farm connection is great. Now, in terms of having your own farm, that can be a little bit more challenging. If you have the resources, if you have the capital, like the human capital, then I say go for it if you want, man. I think it'd be awesome. You have to talk with the health department and get a variance. But if you have the land in the behind the building, there's a restaurant here not too far from me that they have a couple long beds that they're able to at least provide like the greens and herbs for what they carry in the restaurant. So it's cool, and obviously from a brand standpoint, customers appreciate it. Christian Steven from Rhode Island, what's up, man? Sorry, I'm getting down to some of these questions that you guys are asking. And I love seeing you guys kind of jump in too. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them. I'll get to them when I can. Gabrielle Antoinette, do you, me personally, believe that FO front of the house should wear masks, or do you believe it's a personal choice? Masks can either scare our guests or make them feel safe. I've had mixed reviews on this. Gabrielle, I think this is the $1,000,000 question right now. Should people wear masks, specifically customer facing employees? I see both sides of it. I see the mask kind of freaking people out and reminding people, oh, maybe this place isn't safe, while also maybe giving reassurance. Right now, I think the number one thing we need to do is make our customers feel safe. And I think the best way to do that is to be transparent and to be perhaps even overcautious. Like if it were up to me, I'm not the one that's wearing a mask everywhere I go, like every second of the day. I'm not in my car wearing my mask. But I try to be considerate at times when I feel like it's appropriate. And I think the more we can make our customers feel safe, the better it's going to be in the long run. And definitely in the short run. So our goal right now is to, in whatever way possible, make our customers feel safe. That I think means wearing masks. I think it means having extra precautionary measures, wiping stuff down. Maybe instead of having paper menus or like the foldable menus, you have either like a discarded paper menu that you basically print them out, or you have a QR code, and someone scans a QR code, and now they have the menu on their phone, and they are looking through it, so they don't have to touch anything. I don't see things like ketchup bottles being on tables in the near future, which is kind of gross anyway. If you think about a ketchup bottle, how many people have touched it? I mean, the average person, they sit down, they grab the menu, which has been touched by 8 different people. They give it back to the waitress after they order. They then go to the restroom, grab the dirty door handle on the way out, and then they come back, sit down, they put their hands on the seat, which is dirty. I mean, and now they're grabbing the ketchup bottle and eating with it. So there's a lot of things that we can do, I think, to make customers feel safe. And I think the more we can do, the better it's going to be in both the short and the long term. But I think the onus is on us. And erring on the side of caution, I think is probably the way to go. But I get it, because I hate the look of it. I hate thinking about going to a restaurant and everyone's wearing a freaking mask. Like, is that what's going to be like? Maybe in the next 6 months. It's like, I mean, again, it's just weird. All right, so we got Louisiana. So Florence. Scott, I looked at school in Florence, actually. When I was looking, I almost went to play basketball in college and looked there. Marcus, so you're in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Cool. The last thing you worry about is business returning here on the East Coast with summer arriving, which you understand. That's what scares me. Where do you see the industry changing going forward long term, Gary Vee style, i.e. bed and breakfast, Airbnb, food trucks? I think so. Marcus, so I think that's a really good question. Where I see the industry going, like you said, Gary Vee style. I actually got to do an event with Gary Vee about like 3 or 4 years ago out at South by Southwest, which was a lot of fun. Got to cater a party that he was throwing for a bunch of venture capitalists. It was super sweet. But to answer your question, I think the more connected we can be as a business to the consumer, the more it's going to matter. If we have the trust to get their phone number and to be able to call them and email them and be able to communicate as things change and evolve. If the people that are really winning right now with all this are the restaurants that have a 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 person email list that say, hey guys, we had to close inside, but we still do takeout, and here's our menu, and they send an email out that way, right? I mean, Facebook, there's 150,000 people that follow me on this page, and this will probably be seen by 3 or 4 or 5,000 people. So the reach, unless you really want to spend a bunch of money on social media, is not going to be there. So I think being able to connect with the customers is going to be the best way. I'm not sure, I could see like maybe an Airbnb type situation working for like restaurants, maybe like where you have people into like a very specific location, but I don't think the industry is going to change the whole. I really don't. I think in a year's time, it's going to come back to what we would like to think of as normal. I do think that it will be a little bit different because there's going to be a lot of open storefronts. So if you're looking to get in the game, I think now would be a great time. So go start building that business plan and go find some investors. I think there's also the opportunity to leverage, rent prices and things like that, because there's gonna be a lot of vacant storefronts and people, landlords looking to fill them. So we got Ontario, Canada. No news or plans to reopen restaurants serving dine-in only to the next foreseeable future. Would be nice to have similar design. A nice takeout menu providing to first responders and healthcare workers. Yeah, Ryan, I think that's awesome. My cousin owns some restaurants up here in Virginia, and he, for the first couple of weeks of all this going on, they served, I think it was 5,000 meals a week to first responders, which is awesome. It also gives a chance for your employees to keep working. And like in this whole situation when we're all kind of weirded out, feeling sorry for ourselves, going through social withdrawal issues. I think it's a way to stay connected with people socially. I think it's a way to be able to give back when you turn on the news and it's all gloom and doom. So I think it's awesome. So Stephen, I work at, he says he works at Christina's American Table here in Granbury. Complications getting product more and more frequently. And Stephen, you're also in Texas, like the home of beef, right? Yeah, crazy stuff. Yeah, big price jump for beef and pork. So, all right, so here, Angie. So Boise, you're in Boise, Chandler's. After months of takeout, we installed booth partitions. I think that's another thing we might see is booth. Oh, obviously, we are seeing it. Booth partitions, tables spaced, patio open. We do what we can. Helping my Armenian friends with deliveries. Yeah, that's awesome. And Anthony, get some sleep, man. I'm just now getting on your message. He has to be up at 6 a.m. To drive 2 hours to pick up some things for the restaurant. Good luck, man. Hopefully get some rest on Sunday morning. Okay, Nathaniel, you're in Birmingham, the Westin. Okay, cool. So Daniel says, as a head chef, I never take tips, but I can see how some managers will need it, as we are on a 20% cut when we go back. So I think a lot of needs to change in regards to tip. Yeah, I think so. The whole tipping issue is one that I think right now is actually working in our favor. If things were normal, I'd be probably bitching and moaning about tipping because it's one of those kind of archaic systems, and it's very transactional. If I give you really good service, then you'll give me a really good tip. Well, so what if I don't give you really good service? Or is you getting a really good service dependent on me? You give me a good tip, right? So like, I like the whole idea of like Danny Meyer and like bringing people on that just want to work for you and love it and building it into the menu. That brings up a whole nother set of challenges though, because now your menu prices look like they're 20% more expensive. That burger, instead of being $12 is now what, like almost $15. So it's tough. Young, I saw you sent me a message on here from the Philippines. Hi, I hope you're doing well. I'll get to that message when I can. So Gambit. All right, so with everything that's going on, I've gotten a raise and become sous chef only because it's the chef and I in the kitchen. Okay, yeah. And I mean, if you're logging the long hours, like you deserve that, right? You deserve getting the credit, whether it's through verbal appreciation, but also from monetarily, for sure, man. So Scott, so Pittsburgh executive chef, we can do takeout to go right now. Higher end food, just not worth it to do to go only. I get that, man, totally. High end restaurant with atmosphere. You're not made for to go. We cut the menu and staff, revamped for comfort food to goes, not working. To know what else to do. I think that's one of the answers, like you're saying. That's one of the challenges with a high-end restaurant. So like you go to a high-end restaurant, you don't go to a high-end restaurant because you want a steak. Like you can make a steak at home or a piece of fish or whatever. Like you go to a high-end restaurant because it's an experience, right? And that's what I think it's definitely what gets lost when you have to do delivery or takeout or whatever else that might look like. So it's hard for the high-end restaurants. I know obviously there's exceptions that are doing it well. I don't know if you've seen what Nick Kokonis and Grant Achatz are doing up at the next group restaurants, Linnea and all that. Canlis Restaurants doing a really good job out in Seattle. They're doing 3 meals a day. So they're doing like bagels in the morning because someone on their staff's like really good making bagels apparently. Something for lunch and then something kind of chill, for dinner. But it's still higher in prices. So I think you just got to keep plugging along, man. figure out maybe what people are liking, and then also, how can you in the delivery of the product, whether it's delivery or pickup and takeout, how can you convey as much of your brand in the transaction as possible? Anybody can walk to your car and hand you a bag and then walk back to the building. What's inside the bag will hopefully be delicious, but how can you convey your brand in a way that's going to be memorable, right? So maybe if you have like, I love the idea of almost like a HelloFresh type thing or a Blue Apron, where you have a bunch of ingredients, and all right, like you get to have our snapper franchise at home tonight, and you get to make it just how we make it in the restaurant. And we've actually made a video for you. Here's a link to the video. Maybe you email it to them, and they can watch it while they're cooking it. Things like that invite them into the to who you guys are as a company. I think can be really, really helpful. Obviously, if you work with certain farms, kind of telling their stories, using them as a resource. And I would think of any possible way to get revenue right now, Scott. So maybe even if you guys have banquet space, usually or I would think would be booked up like in the holiday season. So maybe you can use the banquet space to get some pre-holiday sales now. So hey, instead of booking your party in September or October, things might be tight for you. We get it, but if they're not and you can afford to, we'd be so grateful to have you go ahead and book it now. Things like that. I would stay away from the gift card of like sell as many gift cards as possible. I think the gift card strategy can work, but I think only if it's like a certain number that you decide on that you can make it work, and a certain number, and maybe like they expire or they're only good for like a certain month, because we all know like gift card redemption is not 100%, so that could be some free money. And then at the same time, you have if it's only for a certain month, not everybody's going to come in at a certain time. But if you take too many gift cards now, like all the people coming in, they're buying food that you've already paid for that stuff 3 months ago. So it can get really tricky. Gambit, I think like we've talked about, I think that with chicken prices, beef, pork, I think we'll see probably a rise in prices just about everything except for probably gas right now because nobody's driving. We got San Antonio here. What's up, Rudy? How are you, man? Andrew Bond, what's up, buddy? How are you, man? I think I might be down in Norfolk tomorrow if you're around, man. So Liam says he thinks employees should be wearing masks, wearing them for the time being, and also be educated on proper sanitation while wearing them. Yeah, I think you're right, Liam. I think in the short term, people will not be won't be freaked out. I think people will be weirded out because I haven't sat down in a restaurant yet where the waiter walked over to me and they were wearing a mask, right? One of the things that is weird about a mask, first of all, like we're used to be able to like look at someone as they're talking to you, and like you make a joke, and if someone's wearing a mask, like you can't really see the person laughing, right? You can't really gauge their emotions and things like that. So it takes a lot of the personality out of it. So I would tell if anyone does work with their front of the house staff is, all right, like you're gonna have to be. It's kind of like when you're a stage actor. I'd done very minimal like stage acting back in high school, but one of the things they say is like you don't need to embellish your movements and your emotions for the person in the front row. You need to do that for the person in the back row. And I think the same thing is true for this whole idea of wearing masks is kind of almost being over the top. That way people can kind of see your personality. All right, let's see here. I'm trying to catch up to these comments, guys. Y'all have left a bunch of them. I'd love for you guys to share this on your page too. Like I said at the beginning of this, if anyone has a question or something they kind of want to talk through, feel free to shoot me a text, 929-266-3996. I'll literally call you right now on the call, and we can kind of talk through it together. Just shoot me a text there. The number is at the top of this post as well. Just let me know who it is and kind of what you want to talk about. Abundia, what's going on, buddy? Yeah, so Liam, I think what you guys are doing up in British Columbia sounds pretty similar to kind of a lot of stuff that I'm seeing. Doing keep the experience, food quality is limiting takeout hours. So keeping a supply and demand issue there, right? If you're open all day long, or at least if you have the same food all day long, maybe people aren't going to be as feel like they need to jump on it right away. That's an interesting way to look at it. Having set pickup times and still cooking to order. Yeah, so I think it's like cooking to order. So if you have some sort of system where you can like literally message your customers and say, hey, your food is on the grill right now. If you can be here the next 30 minutes, it'll be nice and fresh for you. Things like that. Hey, Paul, I get it, man. You said, sorry, I had to go into construction to pay the bills. I get it, man. Jojo, because you said shift drink, yes, because you personally attacked at work when you do your job. What do you mean by that, buddy? I'm not quite sure what you mean, but you sound like you got an axe to grind. So I see Gambit and Liam talking about maybe to go like properly prepping stuff to go. Um, so Joey Stilson, what's up, buddy? How are you, man? And Gambit, you're saying like having the whole menu offered to go, you think is too much? Yeah, it's a lot. My restaurant used to do probably I don't know 15% to go. We did a lot of lunch though. And you being a chef, like like I don't like seeing my food in a box. Like I want it to be properly plated and look nice, and then like I know that the person when they eat it in 10 minutes when they get home or to their office or wherever else isn't going to taste the same as how I made it for you right here, right this very second. So that's one of those things that kind of bugs me. Andrew Carlson, what's up, buddy? Andrew Carlson's a freaking TikTok madman. Andrew, I can't remember I can blank on your TikTok handle, but actually, speaking of TikTok, if y'all are on TikTok, I'm Chef Chris Hill. Andrew Carlson, he can leave his handle down there. He's got like 100-something thousand followers. Does some really cool kind of mind game tricks. But I do think with the way some of this is going, talking about like having the whole menu to go, I think one of the things we might see is going back to Gambit, your question or your comment of it's kind of a lot is maybe we'll see shortened menus, but where they'll be at least kind of the short term, because it gets really stressful to throw. If you're doing, let's say 100 people an hour, if you have 2 or 3, 4 or 5 boxes up in the window at any given time, you can't kind of see inside them. It takes a certain organization that's really a little bit different than just running the kitchen line. And I can only imagine for people only being in high-end kind of fine dining who barely even had to-go boxes before this whole thing happened, what it's like to try to transition to, all right, now everything goes in boxes. But maybe you could also maybe do family meal type situations. This might go back to, I'm blanking on who it was before, the chef up in Pittsburgh, but maybe instead of offering a $30 entree, maybe you do like a $50 or $60 family meal where it's salads and maybe your signature appetizer, and then entrees for $4, and then desserts for $4. Obviously, it's not gonna be the same, cost per head. And that's another thing to think about too, is a lot of this stuff we're having to get the food out the door for far less of a margin than what we'd like to, right? I always break down like, a dollar in the restaurant is, 30 cents of a dollar goes towards food. 20-ish goes towards labor, maybe a little bit higher. 10% goes towards real estate. And then you have, things like insurance and keeping the lights on and water and electricity and gas and all that stuff. So after you look at the whole dollar, you might have, 8 or 10 cents left over. So when you're used to doing, 100 people a day, just to make it even, and you're only doing 50, and you're used to getting much higher margins, you have to actually do twice as many people to have as much left over, even though your margins are smaller. So Paul says, what about if you have left the service, but some of the employees don't take all that is going on seriously with masks and gloves? How I decide how to support them? So Paul, I think you have an interesting question. I'm trying to figure out exactly where you're going with that. So you're not in the industry, it sounds like, right now, or maybe you are, but you left the service, but the employees. So there's people that maybe you used to work with or you're friends with that are not taking it seriously. How you support them? How you decide how to support them? I think the biggest thing is kind of turning it back on them. At first, I think people were wearing masks because, oh God, like I don't want to get sick. And now people are realizing, at least the more thoughtful people, I think, are realizing that you're wearing a mask not only for other people, for yourself, but also for other people, right? So and that's where I think if you can kind of register that way, I think it can be helpful. And maybe spin it too, like, well, what if your mom got sick? And the fact is right now, like, we don't know how many people have this thing. We don't know necessarily who does have it, right? So like a lot of people, there's a lot of people are asymptomatic. I can still, pass on to my parents that are 70 years old now. How horrible would you feel if something like that happened? So I think maybe spinning like that can be helpful. Aaron, how do you handle the drama? Aaron, how do you deal with drama? I want out of it, but seeming I'm there, so much of it's hard to get involved. What kind of drama are you referring to, man? Just like the typical drama, or is it maybe over the top? And where do you find yourself? Are you in like a management type role, or are you kind of there having to put up with it because there's not a manager that will kind of take charge and tell people kind of this is what we expect. These are the guidelines to follow, and if you don't follow it, then we wish you all the well, but maybe you need to find somewhere else to work. So yeah, let me know, Aaron. I'm happy to answer it for you though. Paul Austin, what's up, buddy? I hope you're doing well. Crystal Lancaster, huge problem I'm having is getting my employees to come back when they can make more staying at home on unemployment. Suggestions? Well, Crystal, I did see that I was reading somewhere that that for unemployment, for states that are opening back up, that they can no longer take that option. So they are going to, if I'm not sure how like the data works at these employment agencies, but once they realize that someone is employed currently still at a restaurant and they're open back up, but they're still getting like the the unemployment pay, that they're going to stop that stuff right away. But to answer your question better is, can you frame it in a way where, hey, like, guys, like, I need your help right now, right? Like, and Crystal, I assume you seem like a caring person. I assume that you're caring and you're thoughtful and you try to make them part of your community and like be there for them. but like maybe this is where you say, hey guys, like I need your help right now. Like the last thing you want to do is when things go back to full strength, being 100% capacity and everything, the last thing you want to do is have to rehire a whole new staff, right? Build that culture that you've been working so hard to create. So I think maybe you just say, listen, guys, like if there's any time where you can try to help me out, now is it, and I'll have your back. And I mean, that's how it is, right? The highs and lows, and when they need you down the road, like that's when you say, hey, like when I was up against the wall, you had my back. Now, what can I do for you? Um, I think that's the best way to do it. Yeah, Stevie, I think you're right on. So saying I've done family meals that have been successful and would recommend to others, but the costing has to be generous, for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, not many customers can afford to, spend all this money going to restaurants for takeout, right? Because when I think of like doing takeout from restaurants, I almost think of it as like well, instead of cooking, right? The problem is instead of cooking can be one night a week or two or three or four, or some people don't cook at all and just do takeout. So figuring out kind of where you can make that kind of happy medium, I think for sure. That's a good point, Stevie. Aaron, hey man, I appreciate you saying that. Um, I do want to see what your thoughts were with the drama. The biggest thing I try and say to tell people is focus on what you can control, which is how you're showing up, your energy, your effort, and how you take care of people and treat people. Um, Things do come around, and if you're not part of the drama, um, if you're in the wrong organization, then you might feel like you're an outsider. But if you're in the right organization, the cream will rise to the top, and the drama will find its way to the bottom. Um, Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you saying that, man. It's been fun hanging out with you guys. Like I said, if you have any questions, happy to answer them for you. All right, so Aaron, long story short, I got leapfrog for position, and all right, so this is the kind of questions I love to answer. I think I've only read the first part of it, but long story short, I got leapfrogged for a position, and it seems to be a literal favoritism. I'm everybody's go-to vent. I've busted my ass for what feels like nothing, and some people think they're in charge when they're clearly not. And a lot of talking behind backs to other people. My only friend, the former kitchen manager, left and kind of hung me out. Aaron, that sucks. I think we've all probably dealt with a situation maybe not too dissimilar from that. So how do you work your way through that? It's got to be frustrating. So feel it, man. The next thing I would tell you to do is if you feel like you can have this conversation, I think it could be valuable. And you said that your only friend was the kitchen manager that's not really there anymore. But can you have a conversation with somebody and say, listen, like, yeah, I've been trying my best to be here for everybody else, as someone to kind of talk to, but also with work, I'll kind of do anything. And I really felt confident that when there's a new promotion up that I'd have my chance to kind of get that. And I was really bummed to find out that so and so got it instead. What can I do to better position myself for when this happens again? What do I need to do? And that way they can tell you. If it was a full of shit reason why, like maybe it was, then they'll kind of mumble around and won't really have much to say. Oh, Aaron, you do a good job. It's just whatever, right? They might kind of try and throw some bullshit out there. But if it's a legit reason, they might say, well, like there might be something that you're not seeing too, Aaron. I hate to say that, but just having been on both sides of it, as an owner, management side, and also as a cook side, like I've been on both sides. So sometimes there's things that the frontline employees aren't seeing. And then I would say also, Aaron, so between now and then, make your best case for when that promotion comes up again. So the job that you want, so let's just say it's a sous chef position. What are the jobs and responsibilities of a sous chef? Well, it depends on the size of the operation and everything, but the sous chef where you work, what do they do? Do they help with menu writing? Do they help with scheduling and inventory and ordering? And go ahead and start learning those things. And maybe it's learning those things on the job and showing that, hey, like I have this interest and I want this job. But also maybe it's also outside of work, because at the end of the day, what you learn today, you'll have with you for the rest of your career. So what you learn today and tomorrow and the rest of the year, like 30 years from now, you'll have a lot of stuff you've learned. So you're not just learning it to be able to get the next job, but you're learning it to be able to have it as a skill and as an asset for you for the rest of your career. So I would encourage you, Aaron, whether you're able to get the next sous chef job or whatever it might be where you are now, or if it's a new place down the road. If you learn the skills that are for the job that you want, then you're gonna be able to get it. And being actually showing the person in charge, the decision maker, that, oh wow, like Aaron's like really on his game. Like he's going above and beyond, and sometimes it takes just going outside of what's normal to get someone's attention. So hopefully that helps, man. But I believe in you, man. You seem like a good dude. Feel free to shoot me a message. And feel free to shoot me a message to anybody, guys. I'm happy to help. Jojo, you're welcome. I still not sure why you seemed like you're a little bit upset about something getting treated like shit or something. But I hope you're okay, Jojo. So Paul, do I think our industry will recover? And if so, what do I think is a timeline? Paul, that's a good question. And my answer would have been different earlier this week than it is now. So when was it? Maybe Tuesday or Wednesday it came out that Dave Chang was going to close Momofuku DC. I can't remember the name of that one specifically. And then the one I think in Soho. And he was saying from the beginning that it was going to disrupt the industry, and obviously we knew it would disrupt it in certain capacity. I didn't think that companies like his with resources that aren't too stretched capital wise, they only have like 23 or 24 restaurants. They're not like 200 or 500 or 1,000 like in Applebee's or something like that. I thought that those types of mid-sized restaurant groups would be okay. But maybe not. I think it will work itself out. I think it'll be a couple years. I think I don't like the fact that he said it, but like President Trump was saying something like like the restaurants will be open and it just might be different owners. I think that's a for real possibility. So it's gonna be interesting to see. And then the workforce. So is the whole economy gonna to tank? If so, that might mean that we have more cooks than ever before. If it doesn't, it might mean that a bunch of our cooks scurry off to other careers that are more meant for them, and we still have the shortage that there is now. So to have a crystal ball right now. All right, so Marcus, you have a newborn at home. Work offered to bring me back up to 14 hours. But only at minimum wage. I decline. I'm a high risk with my asthma, but as a new father, nothing is worth bringing it home to my son. But I feel like I was next in line for Sous this summer, and now my career will suffer. How do you possibly weigh that? Marcus, I think you're doing the right thing. Taking care of yourself first, because not only for your son, but for yourself. But your son obviously is going to benefit from having you around, and a month or two worth of pay where you're really busting your ass. One of the problems too with this whole COVID thing is if you're working 14 hours a day, you're kind of burning the candle at both ends, and you're not getting much sleep, you're not going to have much of a built-up immune system. So you might consider yourself immunocompromised to begin with. So yeah, I think you're making the right move there. Now, how do you weigh this in terms of your career as a whole? I think this is a very, here's a book right here. I think this is literally one page right here. Read it. I mean, as we look back at the end of this decade, is the whole decade going to be about coronavirus and COVID-19? I like to hope not, right? There's other things to be written. And so I encourage you, Marcus, to keep plugging along, man. I truly believe that if I'm going to hire you, if I wanted to hire you as my next sous chef, and you couldn't do that, first of all, like, you have really good reasons, right? You already have an issue with the immune system potentially, and you have a newborn at home that you want to make sure, like, they're one of those three high risk populations. So you want to make sure, without doubt, that you don't get sick and your kid doesn't get sick. So you have good reasons not to go back to work. If it's me, I'm saying, you know what, Marcus, he's legit. He's not like, I can't remember who was saying it earlier. Crystal, maybe it was. I think it was someone, maybe not Crystal. Someone was asking, about, like, when your employees can sit at home and take unemployment versus coming in. Like, that's not the case with you. So I think it goes back to motives. And if I'm the chef and I'm looking to hire you as a sous chef and you won't work 14 hours because of the reasons you gave, I get it. I totally get it. And hey, Marcus, whenever you're ready to come back in, man, we have your spot for you. I will find a way to move stuff around if I want you bad enough. So that also might be a way to gauge, like, all right, is this my home in the medium to long-term future, or do I want to keep my options open? All right. All right, y'all. Matt Williamson, what's up, buddy? If you're still around, looks like you are. I see your face up in the corner. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Jojo, what if you're on your game but they still don't see time to go? Potentially. You can also try to have that conversation. What am I not doing in order to get that raise or to get that promotion? Yeah, I mean, I would definitely, like someone else said somewhere else. Who was it? Yeah, like Joey saying, like, work for the job you want, not the job you currently have. Keeping your options open. So always having your resume updated. That's something my mom told me, and I believe. All right, guys. Well, y'all are being awesome. Ken Stoneback, what's up, buddy? How are things with you? You're New York. Hope things are well for you, man. At least you're upstate, I believe, so you're hopefully not gonna be. Man, it's crazy what happened in New York City. And just kind of a side note. Now I'll come back to some more of these comments. So, I haven't read this yet, but it's Julia Child, Appetite for Life. So I got this package in the mail this last week from my aunt, and it said, for Christopher. This is a little message from the author. It says, for Christopher, continued best wishes on your job and writing. And it says March 7th, 2010. So my aunt got this for me literally more than 10 years ago. I guess she forgot to send it to me. And here we are 10 years later, and she got it to me. I thought it was pretty cool. So some reading I'll have to check out at some point. Michael Corkins, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Matt, so I'm close to moving to Montana. Matt, why should you hang in there? So first of all, Matt, you're far enough along to make it worth it. Um, but aside from that, this is all going to come back around. Um, if there's any industry that will not go anywhere, it's going to be the restaurant industry. I mean, we as people are naturally inclined to enjoy gathering around the table with people and sharing. I mean, you think of all the occasions we spend, whether it's our birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, funerals, weddings, everything. One of the centerpieces is food, and it's one of the like James Beard says, food is our common ground, a universal experience. I truly believe that, and people are going to want to come back and do it, and be together, and break bread in homes, but also out. So Matt, I think Matt, you have a great personality. I think I think the industry needs more people like you, man. I think he's gone now, so I don't think he heard that. Mike Bentz, shift drink in hand. What you drinking, man? I'm about to do some writing here in a minute. I got some coffee. Yeah, Joey. Um, yeah, I like that, Liam. So, always work hard, be happy, but never satisfied. That's it. I think, and that's Liam. Like, I think that nails it. Always work hard, be happy, but never satisfied. Um, if you're not happy, then you're just gonna burn yourself out. You're gonna run yourself the candle on both ends. And I've been there before. When I opened my restaurant, I was working 18 hours a day, and I almost forgot what's this for, right? My dream came true to own a restaurant, and here I was busting my ass, not spending any time on myself, my relationships, my girlfriend slash now wife, and because of that, my whole life suffered. So being happy or being grateful for where you are, I think is important. Um, but not satisfied. You look at any of the best with anything, every dish that goes out of the kitchen can be this much better in some way, right? Like that salmon skin can be this much crispier, or that sauce could be this much tighter, or whatever it might be. So always trying to strive for that, next not being satisfied. And you look at anyone that's the best, whether it's a chef, you look at like this whole like The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. That guy. I think he had a blast winning championships, but he was also working harder than anybody else. You look at people like Kobe Bryant. I don't know if anyone's watched the documentary called The Muse, or maybe it's just Muse, but Kobe Bryant's documentary Muse. It's freaking awesome. It talks about he's in there working and I love the story. Jason Williams. So Jason Williams played basketball at Duke and then had a short NBA career. But he told the story right after Kobe died about how he wasn't shooting very well, so he went to the gym. It was an away game. He went to the gym like 3 or 4 hours early to practice, to try and get his shot right. And Kobe was in there sweating. And he had someone like passing balls, and he was like dripping sweat. And Jason Williams like, okay, well, I guess he's probably just about done. And so then he kept going and kept going. And Jason Williams is like, well, if I keep grinding, I'm gonna be tired for the game later. So then finally, Jason Williams quits, and Kobe's still out there shooting. He's still out there shooting. And right after Jason Williams leaves, Kobe walks off the court, dripping sweat, and he's like, I just didn't want him to see me quitting, which I love. Staying hungry. All right, y'all. There's a lot of hiring freezes I'm seeing. All right, guys. Neil Bass, do I think opening up this soon is a good idea? Neil, I think that's a good question. I think that's another $1 million question. I think you have to weigh like the safety. What happens if there's a reemergence? But on the other end of it is people need to take care of their families and work and get back to normal in some way. I think the way things are kind of opening back up, maybe is a little bit too early. But if things could be back to somewhat normal come like fall, where school starts on normal, on time, then that will be a win. But that's the $1 million question. All right, guys, it's been fun. Thank y'all for hanging out. I am going to sign off here. I got to do some writing for the book. That'll hopefully be done at some point here. I'm making some changes with all this COVID stuff, but you can actually grab my other book, I'm working on Lead Like a Chef. My other book, Making the Cut, over on Amazon if you want. So, love you guys. It's been fun. It's been a blast. Thank you guys, Aaron, Joey, Neil, Liam, all you guys, chatting with each other. It's been a lot of fun. So we'll do this again soon. Until next time, take care of yourself, all right?